gray, black. That's it. I think. Right? They're the same thing. Hey guys, welcome back to Joe with Joe. I'm Joe. This is my Joe. This is Little Joe. So today we got a pretty interesting one. About track. Specifically, these two. Bachmann EZ Track. Is there a real difference? Which one is better? So grab yourself a cup of Joe and let's find out. Right here on the Mill Run in Western Maryland. Hop on. Alright, so we got the same track. I mean, they bolt up the same, they look the same. But there really is a difference between these two. This one is steel. Anybody who's ever worked with steel knows that this thing weathers really badly. Rusts. Gotta clean it. Very cheaply made. You find these a lot in your starter sets. I would say this black set would be good for starters, obviously. And that's pretty much where that goes. Not bad. Anybody who has this, it's okay to have. But you gotta know how to take care of it. And you just gotta know how to take care of it. Comes with every problem that you have typically with steel. The oxidation, the rust. Steel doesn't really conduct nearly as much as what you want it to. So you might not have the best performance in your engines. So this is your nickel silver. Conducts really well. A lot of people prefer this over the black. But there's nothing wrong with the black. This one here conducts electricity a lot better. Does not corrode as much. And you get the biggest performance you can out of the Bachmann for this. Now, the downsides is this is cheap. Well, that's actually an upside, but depending how you think about it, this is your starter sets. As I said, the oxidation, low performance, that's what of this one. This stuff can get pretty expensive. You will have better performance, you will have better speed, better connectivity, things like that. So the ideal thing is if you're using your starter sets and you want to switch to this, get a couple of pieces, because as you've already seen a couple of times, they work together. Now another advantage of the Bachmann EZ Track is these things are very rigid, such as carpets, unlevel surfaces, such as this countertop with the grout. Goes right on top, you ain't got to worry about it. You get a small section, they almost work as a bridge. Not that big, like that big. If you had a small section like that, you can just put a decorative piece there. You don't actually have to have any kind of full support on that. Obviously, the longer the opening is, you're going to want actual supports. So another disadvantage of the black starter set, what I'm calling it, you don't really have that many options. By options, I mean turnouts. This is it. That's all you got. I know, exciting, isn't it? But that's it, that's all you got. But with your gray, you got more options. Different degrees of your turnouts. Tighter turns, wider turns. A lot of options to really get into customizing your layouts. Stripper waffle in my drink. So those are the pros and cons of the Bachmann EZ Track. These ones. What about these? And this? What about this thing?
Okay, take it easy, Joe. These are all good questions, so let's go ahead and dive in and get them answered. So the obvious deduction in this comparison is the Bachmann has a plastic, rigid roadbed, whereas traditional track does not. Now the rails still couple up together using rail joiners just like any other HO track. So just like the Bachmann track, you have your steel track, your nickel silver, but you also have brass in the traditional style of track. Now the brass and nickel silver are kind of neck and neck. Brass, in theory, conducts electricity a lot better, but maybe not enough to be the deal breaker on whether or not you're going to use brass or nickel silver. The other downside to brass is the oxidation factor. This track has to be maintained and cleaned more often. And it's brass, so obviously it looks like brass, whereas nickel silver looks like steel. So it depends on how particular you are about the authenticity of your layout. And if you take the two and mix them on your layout, which you can, by the way, because they do work together, but you have that stark contrast between the colors of the rails. So again, it just comes down to how particular you are about the authenticity of your layout. Joey, can we focus here? Another advantage to traditional style track is flex track, and just like the name implies, it's flexible. You can go from a long straight stretch to an S curve to a long gentle curve or long short curve, or you can cut it into custom lengths to fit the need on your layout. Oh, and by the way, the turnouts you pointed out in my yard, one is a 3-way turnout and the other is a regular left-hand turnout by Petco. These turnouts have insulated frogs, which means that if I close off the points to one section of the track, that track doesn't get any power until I open the points to it again. This comes in handy for running multiple DC locomotives in my yard. That's all detail that we can cover later on.
Well, Chris, this has a roadbed. This one doesn't. What do we do about that?
Well, Joe, you don't always have to have a roadbed. As you can see here in my mine section of my layout, I just tacked the track right to the layout board and did scenery around it.
Thumbtacks? Really, Chris?
So to truly answer your question, Joey, for traditional style track, there's Cork Roadbed. Now, Cork Roadbed's usually sold in 3-foot sections and is relatively inexpensive. So if you want your track on a roadbed like this is, Cork is your most common and cost-effective answer. Installing your roadbed is fairly simple. The roadbed comes in 2 halves, which gives you the ability to flex it into place, like for a turn or something. You would butt the 2 flat, even sections together, leaving the tapers off on the side, so you get that taper just like your Bachmann EZ Track has. To attach it to your layout, you could use white glue, latex caulk, or you can even tack it in place. From here, fastening your track to it, you would use tacks. Your track actually has holes made into it for your tacks, so you don't have to drill holes. Unless you are using some flex track and you've cut some custom sections, you won't have to drill any holes. So I'm going to beat you to your next question, Joe. Can you use the Bachmann EZ Track with traditional style track and Cork Roadbed? The answer is yes. The only issue you're going to run into is the Bachmann EZ Track sits a little bit higher than your traditional track and Cork Roadbed. What you got to do to fix this problem is simply build up your Cork Roadbed. You can do this with ballast, you can shim it up. I've used cardboard sheets underneath my roadbed and then hit it with scenery. Now that's for an episode later on down the track. But as far as the track goes, the only differences you have are the steel track, the brass track, and the nickel silver track like we talked about before, which they will all work in conjunction with each other.
Wow. That's a lot of information. So let's summarize this. So in reality, there's 2 styles, I guess you could say, of track. You got your rigid and your customizables. You got your cost effectives right here, with this, the older styles being more common in train shows. and this being more common in your starter packs. Then you got your advanced levels. You got your ones that you would buy typically, and these right here you can still buy, but again, you would probably get these at train shows reasonable. And sometimes you might even get these two together in the same box. Might get lucky. But these right here are going to be your high performance. The ones that you're probably going to want to shoot more towards. Then you got your fully customizable sets right here. And yes, they do make brass flex track. These right here are great if you have weird twists and turns in your layouts for whatever reason. So they come in 3-foot sections. Makes it great for longer straight stretches and even turns, because you might come into a situation where you need a different degree of turns, and these are all set pieces. So you do have a wide option of different degrees of turns, but you might find you need a 17-degree turn. So you got those options available too. So the less connections you have equals less electrical issues, which leads to less troubleshooting, which equals more runtime and a happy model road rider.
If I had to give you one word of advice when it comes to track on your layout, it would be, if you're using steel or brass, put it in a location that is easy to get to. This is mainly for the maintenance purposes. You want to be able to keep this track clean. And in the future, if you decide to upgrade your track or change your track plan in any way, this will make it easier for you to get to and to replace, so that way you're not having to tear your layout apart just to get the one section of track that you know was steel or you know was brass that you want to change out. I speak from experience because my layout's built in a corner, and there's a lot of things that I wish I had done differently that I can't get to now.
Well guys, that's a lot of information. But as you can see here and with past episodes, Chris uses it all. They all work, they all have their ups and downs. I guess it just depends on where you want to start. But now that we covered track, let's talk locomotives. What kind of engines do we want to do, and what kind of rolling stock do we have?
Joe, we'll have to do another episode on that. You're out of time.
Oh. Well, I guess that's it. If you guys have any comments or questions or even suggestions on future videos, please put in the comment section below. We love to hear your stories and love to answer your questions. And don't forget, while you're down there, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Help keep things rolling around here. So remember, don't forget, there's an important rule in model railroading. Have fun. See you next time. My phone's ringing. Oh, this is good. Oh. I'm sorry to break it. Alright. So here we go.
So you're gonna do real serious express.
Gray, black, might be colorblind. I have to do a short on it, be like, thank you guys for finally noticing. Every one of our videos has something dumb in it. Go back and watch them all.
Like, yeah, every one of our videos has a light bulb.